Back in November, he was reelected as Miami's leader. Now Francis Suarez is also the president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. Earlier this week, I went one-on-one with Mayor Suarez, and here's what he told me about his new role and his plans for the 305. Mayor Suarez, thank you so much for joining us once again here on NBC6 Impact, and Happy New Year.
Thank you for having me, Jackie. Likewise.
Well, first of all, congratulations are in order. First, for being voted the local politician of the year, and then for becoming the 80th head of the Mayors Association in this country with the swearing-in ceremony this week. What is the significance of this for you?
Well, first of all, I feel very blessed and humbled to have an opportunity to lead America's mayors as president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and being named Florida Politician of the Year, I hope is a testament to the hard work that I try to put in and day out for the residents of my city, the city where I was born in, the city that I love, the city that I've given a significant part of my life to serve. And I think we are doing phenomenal things right now, nationally and internationally, that have given us a tremendous amount of notoriety in a good way. We're number one in the nation in tech job growth, number one in tech job migration. Our unemployment rate is almost 1% less than the state of Florida at 3.7%. We've created thousands of high-paying jobs, moved $1 trillion of assets under management companies to our city in just 1 year. We were voted the healthiest and the happiest city in America and number one in pandemic recovery. So I think we've had a magnificent year. We have to build on that in 2022, which is why I'm really excited to kick off the year this way.
We're going to talk about some of those numbers in a bit, but getting back to the head of mayors, this position puts you in the national spotlight. How will this affect your role as Miami's mayor?
I think it makes me more effective as Miami's mayor. You know, I was blessed last year as vice president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors to be invited to the White House on the eve of the ARPA funding process. And that generated $140 million for the city of Miami. If you remember the CARES Act, I fought real hard with Miami-Dade County to get Miami's fair portion. We only got $8 million when we should have gotten $80 million in CARES Act dollars. So the fact that I was involved had a significant difference in terms of the benefits that we were able to distribute to our residents. And I'm very grateful to my commission that helped me be able to distribute those $140 million as quickly and effectively as possible.
What will be your priorities early on?
We're going to have a lot of priorities. Obviously, getting MFP done, Miami Freedom Park, which is bringing an MLS team to Miami, is a major priority. We're working on a tech charter school initiative that we are going to unveil in the next few months. And then we're also working on our functional zero homeless plan. We have 510 homeless in the city. We're at the lowest level since 2013. But we want to be one of the first cities in America, major cities at least, to have zero homeless. And so we put together a plan based on some of our federal funding to get to close to zero, if not zero.
It's obviously been a good year for you, even though we continue to deal with COVID, and Omicron is wreaking havoc, as you know, in the city and across the country. But you were at Miami Marine Stadium, a new testing site, for a press conference this week as well. How's the city doing with COVID?
Well, we, like every region of this country, are suffering, right? Our hospitals are at the highest point that they've been throughout the entire pandemic. And what we're trying to do as a city is provide more resources for our residents, allow them to get tested faster, allow them to get vaccinated faster if that's what they want to do, and just try to remove a little bit of the stress from what they're feeling. The good news is that it seems like the Omicron variant is very contagious, but not as severe. The reason why we're seeing our hospitalizations go up is it's just so contagious that such a large part of the population is infected. And we really don't even know how large a segment of our population, because we know a lot of people are testing at home or are not even able to get at home tests, or so they're not testing at all. So we don't even have a true sense for how many people have Omicron. Just anecdotally, it feels like so many people in our community.
Are you at all concerned about the possibility of having to cancel upcoming events like Ultra? Because we saw the city of Miami make changes to the Bayfront Park New Year's event due to rising COVID cases.
Well, we had our New Year's Eve concert and it went off without a hitch. So far, you know, we and other cities across America have taken different stances on whether we're canceling events, whether we're attending events or not. I think Miami, part of its success has been the fact that it's been relatively open, while other cities have been relatively closed, although we did make the difficult decision, and I did multiple years ago, being one of the first cities in America to cancel Ultra before even Austin had canceled South by Southwest, and other major events have been canceled. So we're going to monitor this on a day-to-day basis.
The last time I saw you, you were having one of your cafecito talks, talking, as you often do, about the tech industry and Miami's booming tech field, which, by the way, you've had a hand in from the beginning in making Miami a tech hub. Why did you take this head on?
I took it head on for multiple reasons. The first is when I first started in public service 12 years ago, I realized that for our city to have to continue to thrive and survive, we needed to have a growing tech ecosystem. I was very close to Manny Medina at the time, and Manny was really the pioneer in our community who had created a tech company called Terramark, which was a network access point for the internet to South America, and sold it to Verizon for a few $1 billion. I mean, he was really the first person to actually successfully do that. And he had a vision starting Emerge, which was a major tech conference in South Florida, of making sure that Miami was ready for the next generation of the economy. And now, as I've gotten older and become mayor, I realized that with a 3-year-old who uses her pacifier to take a selfie, I know that the technological generation is upon us. And it's not a political statement. It's not a Republican or a Democratic issue. It's a reality that as cities we can embrace to our benefit, or we can ignore to our detriment. And I think one of the things we've seen in this renaissance since my December 4th how can I help tweet in response to what if we bring Silicon Valley to Miami, is we've seen the creation of thousands of high-paying jobs, which are going to keep the young people who have been fleeing our city for generations and generations to stay here and build the companies of tomorrow here in Miami.
Along the same lines, I know that Miami is moving to become the crypto financial capital, much to the chagrin of New York City. So what is the significance of crypto for the future of the Magic City?
Well, to be a technological city, you have to be on the forefront of new technologies. And crypto, obviously, as a fintech technology, is the newest kinds of technology. So one of the things that I did as a sort of strategy was, as the David in this David and Goliath story, was we needed to get ahead of the latest kind of technology. And so we did that in part by becoming a crypto forward city. I did it by accepting my salary in Bitcoin. We did it with the Miami Coin project, which has generated close to $30 million, and now is going to generate a Bitcoin yield for our residents. So they will get Bitcoin distributed to them on a quarterly basis this year. And then, it's provided a tremendous amount of benefits for our community. When you look at FTX, they did a $200 million naming deal with Miami-Dade County. A big portion of that money has been used for a gunfire prevention program. And this year, we went down 25% in homicides and 14% in contact shootings. So you see the sort of revolving circle of having a big crypto company invest hundreds of millions of dollars in our community and the benefit to saving lives in our community.
Okay, you mentioned those numbers and accomplishments during your tenure as mayor of significance to the Magic City. Here we go, 3.5% unemployment. That's about a percentage point lower than the rest of the state. Number one, as you mentioned, in tech job growth, keeping taxes to a 40-year low. The lowest also, you mentioned, homeless rate since 2013, and reduced homicides by 25%. How have you managed this during the pandemic when most cities have limited funds?
Well, we managed it by making smart decisions, right? So one example is by reducing our taxes to the second lowest level since the 1960s, our budget has actually doubled in size. Why? Because we've attracted new investments to our city. That gives us more resources to deal with things like homelessness and crime, which is why we see homeless at a 10-year low and crime at a 50-year low in terms of homicides. By the way, those crime statistics on homicides are in complete juxtaposition from what's happening across the country. If you look at the 10 biggest cities in America, many of them have had double-digit increases in homicides, if not 20, 30% increases in homicides. So we're not only doing something phenomenal, but we're doing it in a diametrically different way. And we do that by increasing funding for our police department. We just hired 30 new officers in our budget. We give them the tools that they need to be successful from a technological perspective with things like ShotSpotter, the NABIN machine, and Cellbrite, which allow them from a technological perspective to be more effective at doing their job. And so we empower our police officers to protect us, and we see the benefits.
We talked about the low homicide rate for Miami, which is a major city. And while we're seeing some cities reducing police budgets, you've actually increased spending for Miami PD, as you mentioned, by hiring more officers and such. Why did you feel that was important, and where did you get the funds to do all that?
Well, I think that police officers in America today have the simply the hardest job in America. There's never been a profession where someone is paid so little to do so much with so much scrutiny. There really has never been any combination of factors like that. And so I believe police officers in America literally have the hardest job in our country. And so I think this country is a pro-law enforcement country. We always have been. And safety is a brand that we sell. If you think about the rest of the country and you think about areas like Central and South America, where we get a lot of people coming from, a lot of times they're fleeing from areas that they don't feel safe in. And safety is sort of a basic underpinning of what you should expect from your city. And so, we have taken those excess revenues that we've gotten from the influx of people that have come in to our city by actually lowering taxes. And we've used it strategically and intelligently in the right priorities, like public safety.
Okay, on a completely different front, I spoke recently to John Ruiz, who is the booster who wants to build a stadium for the Hurricanes. Do you think that will happen? Have you had any conversations with him about possible sites in the city?
I haven't actually spoken to John yet. I've known John for a long time. He's a friend, and some of his business partners are very close friends of mine. I welcome that conversation. I think it's an important conversation for us to have. I'd love to see the Hurricanes come back to Miami, to the city of Miami, where they used to play, where my father was mayor in the Orange Bowl. I kid the Hurricanes coaches Manny Diaz and now I'll kid Mario Cristobal about the fact that, when my dad was mayor, they won 3 national championships. So I've got 4 years left. They got to start winning some national championships. But we certainly have to do our part as a city to support them in their endeavor. And I think in the future, you're going to hear some interesting potential news about the city's desire to want to be involved in that process.
And finally, you just won your re-election in November by a large portion of the voters. Are you considering running for higher office after you finish your second term as Miami's mayor?
First of all, I feel very blessed and honored to have received almost 80% of the confidence of the residents of my city in a re-election. I was blessed to be elected by 85% when I first ran. And it's for me, it's a tremendous vote of confidence in my leadership style, in my effort, and in my vision for the future. Having said that, I just became president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors this week, which is a big job for the next year and a half, setting national policy for America's mayors this year. Once that's over, one of the things I've learned in my many years in politics and being around politics since I was a young man is that if you want to continue to serve, there's oftentimes many opportunities. There's not a lot of political jobs that I would be interested in. I don't want to be in politics just for the sake of being in politics. But if something arises that is that I feel that I can make a big difference, that might be something worth continuing to make the sacrifices that I made to serve, the public.
Well, I know how much you love the city of Miami, as I do, both born and raised here. So thank you once again for joining us. And once again, congratulations on all of these fronts, Mayor.
Thank you, Jackie. It's always a wonderful opportunity and a pleasure to be with you.
Still ahead here on NBC6 Impact, I go one-on-one with an infectious disease expert as South Florida battles yet another surge in COVID cases.